how realistic really is it to make your full-time income by licensing your music? This was the subject of an email I just received from somebody who had found my YouTube channel. I had heard about music licensing before, but didn't really know how to get started, didn't really know what to do. And he had a very honest and sincere question, which was, Jesse, I'm willing to put 40 plus hours every week into this. I'm willing to go the distance, to put months, if not years, into building up a catalog and to, basically build up relationships. But he just wanted to know, like, what's going to happen if I, a year or two into this, don't see the results that I want, don't really have the income that I need. He was just really afraid and worried that he'd be spending 2 years of his life, 1 year of his life doing something that maybe doesn't work out for him in the long run. And so he just wanted to know, like, what's the real deal on this? Okay, is this really realistic for just an average person with high quality tracks? I haven't heard his tracks, but he says he has high quality tracks. Who knows? We all think we have high quality tracks, but above and beyond that, the fact that he said he's willing to work hard, he's willing to do this 100%. But he said he had a child, he had a kid that was dependent upon him. So he has bills, he has mouths to feed, right? So this is not something that he should go about lightly. And I don't think you should if you're going to go into this business. But I gave him some sort of thoughts. And even after I sent him an email back, some more ideas kind of came to my head as far as how I would best reiterate how realistic it is for you to actually do this full time if you're going to pursue it. Okay, so before any advice I give, you must understand that there are no guarantees in this industry and there are no guarantees in life, period. You could have the best music, you could work as hard as you possibly could, you could partner with the best libraries. Doesn't guarantee you one thing, okay? So I have to put that out as a disclaimer just so you guys are aware, and I think you guys understand that a lot of this business is outside of your control. Now, I'm all about chances and probabilities and statistics. And so in my perspective and in my career, the larger my catalog is and the higher the quality of music that make up my catalog, the better and more high quality placements I get. And that means the bigger royalties I get, the more checks that I receive, and the more consistent income that I start to earn. So I don't necessarily think about luck or or if I'm gonna possibly get this placement or that placement. I kind of just like to play the numbers, and that's how I've always approached this industry, and that's why I've never really had, or at least recently, I haven't had any anxiety about am I gonna keep making income. My catalog is so large at this point. I have quite a few libraries that are out there circulating my tracks, and I'm getting notifications pretty much on a monthly basis of new placements and new shows that are starting to use my music. So it's gotten to the point now where I'm comfortable with it. Now, with that sort of disclaimer out of the way that there are no guarantees, if you are willing to constantly be learning, right? I don't care how high quality your tracks are. If your tracks are already amazing, then great, you're in a good position. But even if your tracks are not as great as they could be and you're just starting learning how to produce, you gotta accept criticism, be willing to accept feedback. If you get a rejection, you can't take that as your final straw, that you just take your ball and go home and never keep going at it. You have to have this sort of diligent mindset of like, you're gonna always learn, you're gonna always find any situation, whether or not it feels positive or negative in the moment, and try to learn from it, try to do something with it, try to take that knowledge and go forward with it. So that's first and foremost, no matter where you are in your career. But the other thing that I want to reiterate is that the main difference between this business, meaning TV, film, music licensing, as opposed to trying to write records for the general public to buy and consume, so just trying to be an artist, getting on the charts, getting a viral video, going on tour, that kind of thing. That's like a separate, I call that like the artist side of the business, like record sales, that kind of thing. The main difference here is that in the record sales, in the artist side, where you're trying to just sell to the public, there's so much outside of your control that like literally you just don't really know what the public's gonna like or not. And you guys know that you guys have probably released quite a few songs already. And you know that some tracks really take off. Your fans really like it. People kind of share it. They take it around. Other tracks that you think are awesome don't go anywhere. People just go, that's cool, whatever, not interested in that. So you really can't ever gauge what the public is going to like or not like, right? That is completely outside of your control. And that's why I think that like less than 5% of artists actually end up going on to have a long-term career in that side of the business and actually trying to release original music and go on tour and all that kind of stuff. Because it's just a crapshoot. You have no idea what the public's going to like. You can create the music that you want, that, sings and expresses your soul, But when it comes to connecting with the public, who knows? Some albums flop, some albums do great. You just really never know. With the TV film, though, licensing business, there's a much less guesswork in this, okay? Because you know what? The people who want to buy your music, and in this industry, it's about licensing your music, but potentially the ones that are going to buy it, put it in a TV show, earn you royalties, etc., they're going to tell you what they want, right? Consumers don't go out and give a brief to all the artists coming out with new albums for the next year and say, hey guys, if you're going to be creating rock albums, we want this and this, we want these elements, we want those elements, and as long as you can provide all these, we will go out and buy your albums, we will go out and attend your touring gigs, we'll come out and buy your tickets, buy your merch. It's not the way it works. But in the TV film world, there are libraries, music supervisors, editors, who not only tell you exactly what they're looking for, they give you descriptive words, descriptive instruments, maybe even sounds and plugins they'll tell you they want you to use, but they'll also give you reference tracks. They'll tell you exactly what they're looking for, what other songs sound really close to what they like, what would be appropriate for their particular TV show, promo, commercial, movie, trailer, whatever it is, right? So you have a sort of cheat sheet, a guide to get you directly into sales, to get you into the place where your track is going to be accepted, right? So that's why it's really important for you to be able to take criticism, take guidance, take mentorship, take people giving you sort of like a roadmap for how to actually get the placement, okay? If you're not willing to do that, if you have a stubborn sort of ego that you just want to make the music that you want to make and you're really not into somebody telling you kind of how to craft your music or your art, then this business is just not really for you. But if you can at least part-time, right? Maybe you still do your artist thing on the side, you keep doing that, and that's for you. But when you do TV film music, you can have a completely separate catalog, different music, a different approach to it. And that's the place where you don't have to have your artist ego involved here. You can actually just take direction, listen to what somebody's asking you to do, and just do it and service them with your music. And then once you get that first check or that first placement, it's a very rewarding feeling to know that somebody had a need for music, you had the talent, you had the skills, you had the service, and you provided them with that music and satisfied that need, and then you got a paycheck for it. It's a beautiful feeling and a beautiful process to be a part of. But again, until you've had that feeling, you really don't know what this is really all about. I can understand from an outsider's perspective, it just seems like, oh, these people are just selling out. They're just making cheesy jingle music. To me, it's not that at all. I like making this music. I like creating music. I like listening to other artists and other producers and using them as my references so I can go like, wow, what did this producer do? That was so awesome. Maybe I can make my music better. So for me, it's just I'm always in school. Like I'm always in producer school. I'm always learning from the best of the best in this business, okay? So, as long as you can have that perspective going into this industry, you have a high chance of succeeding. You absolutely do. Now, the one thing, though, is there is going to be a time where you get that first royalty check. And I've talked about this a few times on this channel where it's going to be underwhelming. And I'm just telling you that right now. It's pretty much a guarantee that your first royalty check will not be tens of thousands of dollars. It's probably not even going to be $1,000, okay? It's probably going to be less than $1,000. It might be even less than $100, or like my case, mine was 14 cents, okay? So you're going to have a small start in this industry. And so that's the part where I don't care who you are. I don't care even if you're under my mentorship and you're in the syndicate, you're still going to feel the sense of, man, did I just waste a year of my life? Did I just waste 2 years of my life? I'm not really getting anywhere with this kind of thing. You're going to feel that, okay? Because I felt that, and almost everybody that I've talked to who's been in this business as a writer has been in that situation before, okay? So I'm here to provide that sort of resonating, hopefully you remember this video, remember other videos I've done talking about this, when that day comes to know that's where everybody starts. Welcome to becoming a professional music producer in the TV film licensing business. You got to start with that really small royalty check. Now, if you have persistence, and this is what I want to kind of end this video on, and more than that, the student who had sent me this email already had a lot of doubt in his mind, which is healthy because it's like, he's going into a jungle. He doesn't know if there's going to be a life raft at the end of it. He doesn't know if there's going to be actually like food and shelter. He doesn't know if he's going to get lost out there and just find himself just wandering for 2 years and not know where he was. I understand there's a lot of fear when you get started with something like this, and especially when you're dedicating your life to it. However, there became a point in my career when I started seeing some significant income from it where I said, this is it. There is no failure. There is no going back. There is no stopping this. This is where I want to go. I'm seeing enough progress. I'm seeing enough new contracts, new placements, royalties growing. I see the bigger picture here. it can take time. It can take a couple of years before it gets to the point. And that's what it was for me, a couple of years before it was paying my bills enough so I could not have to worry about getting a day job and not have to look for any sort of side gigs or anything like that. So, but there was a sort of mindset I had, which was ultimate dedication, dead set dedication, that there is no more room for fear, no room for doubt, no room for maybe this won't happen. You guys know that famous quote, failure is not an option. And that's simply where your brain needs to be if you want to succeed in anything, not just this business. You want to start a company, you want to go on tour with a band, you want to, I don't care what it is, you want to remodel your house. Failure is never an option. If you start a project and you have a goal for where you want that project to lead you, if you want to succeed, that has to be your focus. No matter what happens, I'm going forward. I don't care what obstacle comes. I'm going to get around the obstacle. I'm going to learn from it. If I have to take a break, I'll take a break, and then I'm getting right back into this thing. You have to start with that mindset, because if you start with anything less than that, the minute some really tough obstacles come your way, it'll be kind of confirmation bias. If you start off with this sort of, well, I know it's going to be hard and it might not work out, but I'll give it a shot. We'll see what happens, right? If you start out with that mindset, the minute that you get a small royalty check, this other story that's been playing in your brain that whole time, which is this might not work out, will just come right to the forefront of your brain. And it'll say, see, I told you, might not work out. Look at that. That's a small royalty check. You can't live on that. You wasted 2 years of your life or 1 year of your life or whatever it was, right? So if you start with that mindset and you hit a big obstacle like that, that's where you're going to stop. You're just going to go, I gave it a shot and didn't really work out. And that will be your exit point. That's where you get off the train and you go back to doing whatever you did before. For the rest of us who persevered, just got through that, said, I don't care if that doesn't look so great. I made a commitment to myself. I'm going to make this work for me. I see the evidence of growth. I see new income where I didn't have income before. I see bigger and bigger placements. I can hear my music getting better and better. So I see all the evidence that I need to, that I'm on the right path. It might take me longer than I want to. Maybe it'll get there. Maybe I'll get a lucky break in a year or two, and that'll be my big popping out point where I can actually quit my day job and do that kind of stuff. But I'll never know unless I'm dedicated and I keep going forward with it, okay? So I can't give you guys any guarantee other than your own work ethic. If you keep hustling and you keep going forward and your music is high quality and you keep persisting and keep updating, your production styles and your cues and your strategies for how you're producing, and obviously always reinventing yourselves, getting new sounds, kind of trying new genres, all that kind of stuff. You have to stay young. You have to stay a student of this industry at all times. If you can do that, all I can say is you'll have the best chances of succeeding, okay? And that's the best that I could possibly give you. And it is something to definitely think about, spend a couple of weeks, if not a couple of months, really pondering whether or not this is going to be an industry you want to go full-fledged into. And I'd love to have you join me with the syndicate, or just have you keep here, staying subscribed to the channel and just kind of keeping up to date with the little videos that I'm putting out here. And maybe this helps you along your journey as well. I plan on doing this for a long time. I'm not quitting anytime soon. So it's definitely something to consider, though, and it is a serious, very serious decision that you should be really pondering heavily. Should not take this decision lightly if you're going to jump into this industry. So I hope this helps. Remember, like this video if it helps. Share this video for somebody else who might be determining or just trying to decide if they're going to get into this industry. And remember to subscribe. I put out videos every single week. Always new topics, always new issues, just like this one.